Good morning, Prof. and fellow classmate. My group mates Yifan, Jielin, Elena, Nicholas, and I will be presenting about ethical culture of 3M and the Coca-Cola Company. In this presentation, we'll first talk about 3M's formal and informal system, followed by Coca-Cola's formal and informal system, and lastly, the recommendations. 3M is a manufacturing company focusing on defense, appliance, and specialty materials. Coca-Cola is a beverage company manufacturing an array of non-alcoholic beverages. The reason why we've chosen these two companies is because they are both MNC with similar organization size, having about 90,000 employees and made over $30 billion in sales. Their ranking in Fortune 500 in 2019 is similar as they are both ranked in the 300s. 3M ranking was at 380 and Coca-Cola's ranking was at 335. Moreover, both companies are business to consumer B2C where they offer its products through various platforms such as traditional wholesalers, retailers, distributors, and partners, as well as directly to consumers. 3M has attained the title as one of the most ethical companies for 7 years. 3M has created their company culture to be fair under the Version 1 theory as they had always publicized themselves as a diverse, inclusive, and fair company. Under the Version 1 theory, it states that each person is to have an equal right to the most extensive total system of basic liberties, compatible with the system of liberty for all. 3M being a fair and diverse inclusive company shows that the companies are treated equally with respect to their position and have basic equal rights. The first formal system of 3M is 3M valuing trust and integrity with various stakeholders. An example of how they do so is ensuring the provision of quality products for its consumers. This can be shown from 3M establishing the Counterfeit Material Control Plan to ensure overall quality, compliance, and reputation of 3M's diverse, innovative product line, making sure that their customers will receive good quality products as 3M's promises. However, despite what they have promised, 3M has sold dual-ended combat arms earplugs to the United States military without informing them about the defects that would affect its effectiveness as a hearing protection device. For this, 3M paid $9.1 million in 2018 under the False Claim Act filed by a competitor. This incident shows the misalignment of 3M's formal and informal system as it did not provide high-quality products to its consumer. Those faulty earplugs might cause serious problems to the military, and yet they did not inform the military of the product's defect despite knowing it. That itself is a fraudulent act, which is unethical. Now I'm passing on my time to Yifan, who will elaborate more on 3M's formal and informal system.
Thank you, Tian. Now, I'll be talking about the formal systems of 3M in other areas. Other than the provision of quality products, 3M is also invested in safeguarding the community and environment. They invest in the use of sustainable fluids in their products and develop the pollution prevention PLACE program to minimize waste and pollution during production. Unfortunately, 3M is not entirely committed to this goal. 3M paid a $850 million settlement fee for the Minnesota lawsuit in 2018, which claimed that 3M contaminated water in the state for at least 50 years. The contamination was due to the dumping of waste and water containing fluorochemicals, in short, PFCs, which can affect growth and reproduction and are almost impossible to get rid of. The effects of 3M's unethical act on the ecosystem and community of Minnesota shows how 3M is not following the hyper norms under integrated social contracts. Under the integrated social contracts, the hyper norms are universal norms that apply equally to all persons worldwide. They represent the basic principles that are fundamental to human existence and include the core human rights. Water is the basic needs for human survival, and the access to clean water is a core human right. 3M is obligated to respect these basic needs and hyper norms. Therefore, by disposing of the chemical water in the water and polluting it, they are defying the hyper norms in the integrative social contracts theory. Now, we will be taking a look at this picture that shows the extent of 3M unethical actions. This picture is organized and included in the Minnesota lawsuit, and it shows the map of the town and area near 3M headquarters in Minnesota. 3M is located near the Mississippi River and is marked out by the star sign. Meanwhile, the pink areas indicates the area that are polluted by the PFC's chemicals. The map shows how the area around 3M headquarters are badly polluted, with 4 underlying drinking aquifers being affected. This then created a 100 square mile underground plume. To make things worse, the Mississippi River, area lakes, and fish are all affected. To help you better understand the development of the Minnesota case, we have came up with a timeline on 3M's actions over the years. Firstly, in 1953, 3M accidentally discovered Scotch Guard, which would then become one of their most profitable products in the future. However, the production of the Scotch Guard line came with the need for the use of fluorochemicals. Then, in 1956, 3M started to dispose of part of their waste into the Mississippi River, and also in other sites in Oakdale, Woodbury, Lake Elmo, and also Cottage Grove. The PFC chemicals slowly worked their way into the groundwater, thereby leading to a groundwater pollution. This is the start of the formation of a 100 square mile underground plume. Next, in 1961, 3M company officials discussed how to protect 3M from legal actions from the pollution of groundwater from their unethical dumping in Woodbury. This shows how 3M is not as ethical as they portray themselves to be. Then, in the year 2000, 3M states that it will be stopping its production of their Scotch Guard line after realization of the harmful effects of PFCs. Following that, in 2012, articles and studies found that people near 3M suffer from health disease, and this blew the situation up and 3M was in hot waters. This is the start of the Minnesota lawsuit, which 3M then settled in 2018 with a settlement fee of $850 million. This timeline shows the development of the Minnesota case and also brought insights into the informal systems of 3M, which we can see is misaligned with their former system. Now, I'll be passing the time on to Jieling, who will be talking about the next company that we chose, Coca-Cola.
Thank you, Yifan. So now I'll be talking about Coca-Cola, our second chosen company. Coca-Cola is considered as one of the largest beverage brands worldwide. It focuses on manufacturing, retailing, and marketing of non-alcoholic beverages like concentrates and syrups. So moving on to the formal system of Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola prides itself with 4 pillars of business conduct to show that they conduct themselves ethically. This includes caring for communities, where they promote fairness, inclusion, and diversity of the community with appreciation of different backgrounds. The second pillar of conduct, protecting what is ours, show how company aims to safeguard assets by urging employees to observe good security practices, maintain accurate records, and prevent money laundering. However, despite its credo and core pillars of conduct preaching about fairness, inclusivity, and good security, our findings have revealed various ethical issues that contradicted them. Firstly, there is a misalignment in the systems as Coca-Cola faced racial discrimination allegations from 3,500 African Americans who claims the presence of policies restraining them from receiving the same compensation and performance evaluations as the whites. There were also reports on unfair job allocations that allocate simpler and better jobs with overtime pay for the whites over the Black and Hispanic workers. Therefore, we infer that Coca-Cola demonstrated disparate treatment in this case, as there was an intention to create segregation. However, they eventually resolved this case with a $192 million settlement fee. So besides racial discrimination in the company itself, Coca-Cola also demonstrated racial discrimination allegations as they sold contaminated cans that were banned in Belgium to Africa. With the number of affected victims in Africa going unreported, this has shown how they adopted ag utilitarianism. Ag utilitarianism is prominent as they chose to sacrifice the health of consumers in Africa instead of stopping their million-dollar worthy production in order to safeguard stakeholders' interests and avoid the loss of jobs if the brand reputation is badly affected. So all of this has shown that they did not adhere to their strong main pillar of caring of communities under the pillar of conduct. Apart from racial discriminations, Coca-Cola also faced issues such as whistleblowing and lack of corporate governance. So for example, the finance director, Matthew Whitley, was fired after alerting the senior management of the illegal business practices of another food service division in Coca-Cola. So what happened was Coca-Cola manipulated their earnings through channel stuffing, where they shipped more than $600 million worth of excess concentrate to bottlers to inflate their earnings. This has satisfied the condition of whistleblowing because Matthew Whitley was an employee of Coca-Cola and he voluntarily shared the information to a government authority relating to the false financial figures that would actually harm by leading stakeholders like customers, investors, and suppliers into making the wrong decision. So this is why we infer that Coca-Cola demonstrated a lack of governance, because the senior management was actually alerted of this situation prior to the whistleblowing case, but they went on to fire him to hide this information instead of addressing them. So next, I'll be passing my time on to Elena, who will be doing the comparison between 3M and Coca-Cola.
Thank you, Jielin. In the first comparison, we'll be addressing CSR strategies. For Coca-Cola, they practice John Mackey's CSR strategies as they preach altruism but practices business case internally. Back in 2016, Coca-Cola released a statement that for every drop they use, they'll give one back. As great as it seems, the subsequent reports proved an exaggeration in the water records, as Coca-Cola did not fulfill what they have promised. This statement was also released after continuous allegations that was previously mentioned, and hence we inferred that it's actually PR ploy. This is because Coca-Cola utilizes an altruistic approach to gain back the trust and faith of stakeholders, but has an ulterior motive to benefit their own profit margins instead of genuine intentions. Moving on, as for 3M, they practice business case model as their strategy. This is because their CSR activities are done to benefit the company in a one-to-one ratio. For example, 3M provides a generous compensation plans to motivate their employees and improve the qualities of their lives. Similarly, the true intention was not only to increase productivity, but also act as a branding tool to portray 3M in a good light. This is why they went on to display information about it all over their sites and use it as a form of differentiation to drive profits. However, what made 3M different from Coca-Cola is that they live up to what they promised to the public, which is to ensure trust and integrity with all their stakeholders. An example is that instead of denying allegations like Coca-Cola, they stopped the production of Scotch line immediately after discovering that it has negative impacts on the environment. Furthermore, the production was stopped despite it amounting to $300 million, and no workers were laid off in the process. Moving on, the next comparison will be on crisis management. For Coca-Cola, we infer that they have a poor crisis management because of a lack of expertise and transparency. As for transparency, they tend to handle crises by first denying all allegations with no accountability and follow-up announcements, but eventually resolve the case with settlement fees with the parties involved. Despite being a reputable brand, there has been repeated failures to properly manage the multiple allegations. This is why we deem that Coca-Cola has a lack of expertise, because the improper management has resulted in stakeholders losing faith in the company's competency. Under the trust radar, it is important that all four conditions, including empathy and commitment, is present to conclude that one has a proper crisis management. But for Coca-Cola to strongly fail on 2 points is sufficient to prove that more needs to be done. I will now pass the time to Nicholas for further comparisons and recommendations for the issues.
Thank you, Elena. In contrast with Coca-Cola, 3M has better system in managing crisis. They've shown they are committed to the environment as they stop the production of their profitable product line, Scotch Guard, after discovering that it harms the environment. They have also shown empathy as they don't fire the workers who work there, but instead they reinstated the workers in other divisions. They proved themselves to have the expertise as shown by their prompt and decisive action to make things right and repair their reputation. Their transparency is commendable as we can witness that they actually did what they promised. Now we're going to compare both companies' headquarters locations. Coca-Cola is based in Georgia, the 12th most egalitarian state in the USA. 3M is based in Minnesota, the 22nd most egalitarian state in the USA. Although 3M is based in a less egalitarian state, it manages to have higher anti-discrimination standards as compared with Coca-Cola. This potential is caused by better organizational structure in 3M's leadership. For Coca-Cola, we suggest they should hire the right managerial team to make crucial decisions that will further reduce managerial oversight and provide clear directions in times of uncertainty. This will enable Coca-Cola to enforce a strong corporate ethics program to address unethical issues, including discrimination, pollution, and the lack of auditing system. James Quincy, the newly appointed CEO of Coca-Cola, made drastic changes, including naming new business units presidents and acquiring brands. His decisions resulted in stock growth and outperformance of the rival PepsiCo, which demonstrated how a program enforcing right practice is beneficial. Therefore, a suggestion is to reference 3M's total reward system to adopt consistent training systems and fair recruitment processes by carrying out objective tests and subjective evaluations. 3M should continue with 3M Total Rewards as it helps creating fairer and more inclusive workplace, which leads to better employees' morale. 3M can further improve the benefits by having personalized mentorship for employees to gain intangible skills. In pursuit of profits, 3M's unethical acts are attributed to the underestimation of related risks. This is shown in the Minnesota case, which required a staggering $850 million settlement fee. Meanwhile, the case for the defective earplugs continues, and the number of claimants has risen to around 200,000 claimants in 2020. Therefore, 3M should set up an operationalization system that prevents risk perception bias, therefore avoiding risks and ethical breaches. Thank you for having listened to our presentation. With that, we ended our presentation and started the Q&A session.